Welcome back, everyone. This is lesson 34, and we are talking about proportions. Your objective is there. Let's go ahead and get started with the fun fact of the day, which is that nerve impulses to and from the brain travel as fast as 170 miles per hour. This image is a computer-generated image about your nerves in your brain and what happens, and nerve impulses are the messages that they send to your brain when something happens. Like if you touch a hot stove, your nerve will send an impulse to your brain saying, ouch, I should take my hand off of that. Okay? So that's what that means. And those travel as fast as 170 miles per hour, which I really hope so, because if I touch a hot stove, I want my brain to be able to tell me to take my hand off pretty fast. So, fun fact of the day there. Let's go ahead and get started with some proportions. Alright, example 1 says Nora is paid $12 an hour, and we want to know, is her pay proportional to the number of hours she worked? So we'll locate the question we're asked, and this information here, we're asked, is her pay proportional to the number of hours that she works? Okay. Well, one way you can find out if something is proportional is to make a table. And first of all, we should probably understand what the word proportional means. Okay. Proportional. Make sure we spell it right. Proportional means that the change is constant every time. Okay. That means the way the information changes stays the same every time. So let's look at what that means here with our table. Let's have a table of the number of hours she works compared to the pay she gets, dollars. I know that if she works 1 hour, she's going to make $12. And I know that because it says that she makes $12 an hour. Well, then I also know that if she works 2 hours, that she's going to make 12 times 2, that's $24. And if she works 3 hours, she's going to make $36 because she makes $12 every hour. Okay? Well, if her pay is proportional to the number of hours she works, that means that the change in between is going to be constant. So what I mean by that is if I take her number of dollars and were to divide it by her number of hours, that should never change every time I move down the table. So 12 divided by 1 should be the same as 24 divided by 2, which should be the same as 36 divided by 3. Well, I know 12 divided by 1 is 12, and 24 divided by 2 is 12, and 36 divided by 3 is 12, and look at that number right here. This number stays the same every time when I divide these, so that means that it is proportional. Yes, it is proportional. And if they ask me to say why, I would say because I take her number of hours and multiply it by $12 every time. Her pay does not change at all. Okay, all we do is take it and multiply how many hours she works and multiply it by 12. And that's what proportional means. We're multiplying by the same thing every time. It's constant. Alright, speaking of proportional, let's go ahead and solve a proportion here. Okay, we've done these before. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. Now we've talked about different ways to solve these. One thing we can look for is the horizontal relationship, okay? Which means if I can see a relationship between these two numbers pretty easily, then I can just use that. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and look at it from this one over here to this one over here, just because my number 5 here will be easier to work with. Well, I know if I go from 8 to 24, I've got to multiply by 3. Which means I should do the same thing to the bottom one. I should multiply it by 3. So m equals 5 times 3. That's 15. And that was a horizontal relationship. Okay, we can multiply the top and the bottom by 3, by the same number. If we weren't aware of the horizontal relationship, again, and some of you will like this method all the time, we can always use cross products. Okay, so we can go this route and set up an equation. Well, 8 times m is 8m. And 24 times 5, I know 4 times 5 is 20. And then 2 times 5 is 10, and I got to carry the 2 over still, so 24 times 5 is 120. And then I would divide this by 8 on both sides, and I would still get m equals 15. So I got the same answer, 2 different ways to get it. Okay, you just pick one. Proportional means we can multiply by the same thing on the top and bottom, or we can use cross products to solve. And the last example, excuse me, says the ratio of boys to girls in the class is 3 to 4. If there are 12 girls, how many boys are there? Alright, so we know that here's the question they're asked. If there are 12 girls, how many boys are there? That's what we're looking for. So we know there are 12 girls. and we want to know how many boys. We also know this, that the ratio of boys to girls, now remember we talked about ratios, and the magic word 2 means boys come first. The ratio of boys to girls is 3 to 4. And I know there's 12 girls in the class, so look at this. Here's what I can do. I can set up a proportion for this. I can set 3 boys out of 4 girls equal to some number of boys out of some other number of girls. Well, I know that's telling me there are 12 girls in the class. So if I look, here's my girls. 12 goes on the bottom there. And I want to know how many boys. So I'm going to put a letter up there. So we can use proportions to find this kind of information. So 3 boys to 4 girls is the same as how many boys compared to 12 girls. You could do cross products and solve it, but I like seeing this horizontal relationship here. To get from 4 to 12, I know I got to multiply by 3. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Times by 3. So I get b equals 9. Now b equals 9 does not sound like a good answer to the question. I need to answer how many boys are there. So I'm going to head and write 9 boys. So basically what that means is 9 boys to 12 girls. If I were to reduce that, compares the same as 3 boys to 4 girls. Alright, there's your lesson on proportions. So if you have any questions, make sure you ask. Otherwise, happy homeworking.